Hello everyone and welcome to the Eurobowl preview show for Wales 2018. I guess after the shenanigans of yesterday, the first thing I should check is, can people hear me? So we'll just wait for the 8-second delay for that to come through in the message. I'll type as well, can you hear us? Yes, excellent. It's working. Yay. That's more of a surprise than it not working. So, with me today, I have just above me the excellent Andy Davo. Now I need to work out. Yes, I got it right. To the side of me is the excellent Joe Manji. Up there is the excellent Dan.
Hello.
So, as I was saying to these guys just before we came on air, big thanks to Andy Davo for helping me get all this set up. He's one of the guys in an unusual position whereby he's not only a really good and experienced tabletop player, but he also does a huge amount of streaming here on Twitch and also on YouTube. So we'll be giving him some good plugs. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel and he will buy you between 10 and 20 beers in Cardiff. That's what I heard.
It's 20 and 30 now, actually. I'm really after the extra
much he wants. That's how much he wants those subs.
Yeah.
So, excellent. So, as you can see, right in the top corner, we have the running order for today. We've got tons and tons of stats. And so my job is to basically ask these experts here, and also Dan's joined us, for their opinions on what's going on. So for those of you that don't know, Andy is playing for Wales, Joe is playing for England, and Dan is in the loser competition of the Eurobowl. No, I'm just kidding. It's anything just great. He's been ripping into me all day, so it's about time to have some revenge. So let's start with Austria against Poland. So here are some lovely stats. So we have Georgia Undead against Rezka, also playing Undead. Outcast, I think, is our only Bretonian player in the Eurobowl against Tillman's Dwarves. Smorgs Lizardman is playing Rovers Wood Elves. Snake Eyes Norse against Mewash's Chaos Dwarves. Ludgrip's Chaos Pact against Warrior 1980s Norse. Chirian Dark Elves against Domingo's Lizardmen. Balenta's High Elves against Slimak's Dark Elves. And Shifa Skaven against Leonek's Amazon. So, Joe, starting with you. Austria and Poland, how do you think those guys will get on?
I have absolutely no idea. I have met some of the Polish guys recently. We went to Hungary, and some of them travelled over for a tournament there. But I do not remember which one is which. So I can only say this is two of the Midland nations who just don't necessarily turn up every single year. So it's not easy to tell like which players they brought with them each time.
So one thing I have noticed about Poland is since Games Workshop relaunched the game, they seem to have come into it a bit stronger. And with them winning hosting rights for the next tournament, which is in 2 years because it's a World Cup year next year, what do you guys feel about their progression?
Well, I think it'd be interesting to see what they do this time around, because last time around, along with us, we didn't do as well as we would like to have done. So I think this is probably a proper marker, because they should be able to turn up with a full and quality team this time. I'm very interested to see how Poland do.
Yeah, it's interesting to see as well. I mean, just looking at their ratings and things in terms of their NAF ratings, it looks like they've got a pretty solid team there, with like 50. Everyone is above 50% win rate, up to 70%. So, and that seems to be the handle, doesn't it? Really, in terms of the viability. I guess what the question is have they just been playing in Poland in smaller tournaments, or have they travelled a lot? So
right, this is one of the wider questions I was going to bring up, because in terms of actual numbers of game played for Poland, it isn't a huge amount, but like you said, they do have some decent numbers on a win rate percentage. But a lot of their tournaments do seem to be quite local, and I'm wondering if that's less to do with their willingness to play Blood Bowl, because it's obviously quite an effort to get these people to come all the way over to another country to play this game. Is it a case of just maybe there aren't enough tournaments around that area, and maybe what can we do to support that?
Yeah, well, the Eurobowl is only going to serve to the next Eurobowl is only going to serve to help support that. Certainly, it's I think from an English perspective, without it's definitely a really appealing place to go, personally anyway, in terms of a foreign tournament. So hopefully, and I think that sort of international or European recognition would certainly help build support for the tournament scene.
Yeah, I'm excited to go. My missus is Polish, so can't wait.
Oh, perfect.
I'll be there.
They did. They posted on Facebook. I think it was back in the beginning of the year. A video of a tournament they were running, and it looked absolutely glorious. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in that next year as well. So, given
there's also a bit of World Cup representing going on here as well with Tojo and some of the other guys. Are those some of the chaps who are helping to organise next year's World Cup?
Yeah, Tojo is the NAF Vice President and the main organiser of the World Cup. So yeah, it's nice to see him actually playing the game rather than just
that's right,
doing all the active stuff.
He did ask me to do a little shout out as well. World Cup 2019 tickets are on sale. Forget about the World Cup for now, guys. This is all about Eurobowl. Wait until next week, and then you can get all your World Cup stuff sorted. But
yeah, 5 more days, and then it's countdown to
that's right.
The World Cup.
So then, let's move on to the next match, which is possibly the most one-sided encounter in Eurobowl history. It's Italy against the Dragons. Andy, is this going to be anything other than a bit of a bloodbath?
There are a couple of coaches, I think, that play for the Dragons that definitely could provide a surprise. The team captain Hobnail, he knows what he's doing. He's also playing a good race. And Undead Dark Elves, personally, I don't go all weak at the knees when I have to play Undead. Sometimes it comes down to a bit of the mighty blow from the mummies, but he could definitely win that one. Tribble, he's crazy enough to pull off some results with the Wood Elves, but Spartaco's a very good player. And
there's a High Elves is an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and Verbal's he's more than capable of putting a performance out. So yeah, that's an interesting game.
I don't know the other coaches, I'm afraid, but I do know those 2 or 3. So maybe. Oh, Martin, I know. Martin's still learning and getting to grips with the game. So I think there's 3 potentials in there for me.
Yeah. That said, Italy are really very strong team. They've got a number of the people who were in the room Italy itself, and lots and lots of experience. So, you fancy Italy against almost anyone, and a relatively experienced Dragons team, perhaps not going to be the toughest matchup.
Yeah, so Italy finished second last year in Portugal. That's potentially a return to form. It's their best finish since Denmark 2012. They've won it 3 times themselves. So I think it's probably fair to say, Joe, that Italy alongside France and England, who we'll talk about a bit later, are probably the favourites for the tournament. Yeah,
absolutely. They tend to be the big 3. They're the only 3 teams that have won it more than once, and Spain have won it once, and apart from that, nobody else has won it. And you've got your dark horses of Denmark, but your top 3 are England, France, and Italy.
I think potentially one of the concerning things about the Dragons is between them, they've played the races that they're taking 103 times, and I mean, Italy have 60 caps, let alone games played in Eurobowl. They've got 60 caps between them, so they're definitely bringing some really experienced players. But Moloch on Dark Elves is a Eurobowl rookie.
He is, but look at his NAF win rate, 63% is very good.
Insane. Yeah. Excellent.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
There is no weak point, is there really, within that group? Is that the 62.7 is the lowest percentage win rate? That's ridiculous.
I wonder who's got the worst, so the best overall average. That's got to be in the top 3. Definitely got to be in the top 3 for me.
Yeah. Well, France EDF Blood Bowl, the France Eurobowl website, is doing a countdown to Eurobowl based on that number, the average NAF ranking. So you'll be able to go onto that website, and they're doing a huge rundown article for each team in the draw. So you'll be able to see exactly what that list is, and check that out.
Yeah,
can you link that to the chat, Joe? Because I'd quite like to look at that. That'd be
sure.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Those guys are fantastic. Galantil, who's been writing those, is hopefully going to try and join us a bit later. He's getting home a little bit late from work. He's the French captain this year. And we're reposting some of them on the Tackle Zone as well. But I'm translating to English because Google Translate doesn't always do the best job. Unless some of these teams really are playing with killer whales.
Yeah, that's great.
The Google translation for orcs, it's orcs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on there. But,
makes sense.
But we're deliberately leaving it a few days behind. So if you want to see it first, they're really, really good. Especially now he's into the top 10. The breakdown is very detailed. He goes into individual players and especially how they might do against the French team.
Yeah,
so
stats are great. He's broken it down like what's the record against people between this bracket of ranking and stuff like that. It's really good.
So Velopia was just asking about the Dragons a little bit more. Can we explain like how they fit in?
Oh,
so
yeah,
they're just the odd team, right?
That's right. So the Dragons are a wildcard team. So in order to make sure that all the nations that want to participate are able to, rather than dropping one out if there's an odd number, we basically have a fill-in party team. So I was lucky enough to be on the party team for Belgium, which were called the Pirates, and then in Sweden they were the Vikings, and this year they're the Dragons. So they like to have a bit of a theme going on there. So they're not flat earthers. They're a good fill-in team.
I think we've gone down, Dan. The Twitch page has got an error code. The Twitch machine got unplugged.
Oh,
I've still got it up. Is it a 404 error?
I'll just reload the page and see if
it's working for me.
It's a 404 error. It just
okay.
fell.
It's not me. It's me. Continue.
Oh, good. Oh, no, but it's good to check out, guys. If anything does go wrong, do let us know in chat straight away because I'm super new at this, so there's every chance everything could all go down at any point. So on to the third team, which is Sweden against Greece. I see we've got Pidpad in the chat as well, so he's going to be very interested to see our thoughts on this. So moving to the stats. So Pidpad's Undead are against Nyctius's Curse Dwarves. Meliscus's Necromantic against Assus's Dwarves. Pelevin's Humans against Kanna's Wood Elves. Oz Norse against Mongol's Orcs, Koma's Dark Elves against Kikazi's Dark Elves, In for the Pain's Lizardmen against Dokowen's Necromantic, which is always, I think it's always tricky for lizards because you never know when that claw is going to go off. Lockman's Pro Elves against Optimus Prime's Undead, and Skuld's Wood Elves against Kiav's Pro Elves.
The first thing I look at that, and I think for me the Swedish team's stronger, but all of those matchups I was just grimacing. I was just like, I don't think the Swedish have got particularly strong matchups there. Joe, what do you think about the matchups?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good point. I think Pro Elves, Wood Elves is a nasty one for them. Under Pro Elves is absolutely horrible. Necromantic Lizardmen also bad. Orc Norse, and basically you're just relying on the Snow Troll there. If that doesn't work, you lose that game. So yeah, Humans, this is, Wood Elves is as bad as it gets for them because they can actually keep up with you. So yeah, you're right. It's some very, very tough games in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I'll say about this is that it's just amazing to see Greece participate. Like whenever a new nation plays the Eurobowl for the first time, it's just an amazing experience, and you often see in that country just explode just from that one attendance because people realise what a great community you have and what a great tournament it is, and they just want to be part of it and want to play more. So that's the first. Then, so the main thing I'm just excited about to meet some Greek people for the first time and see them make their debut.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Swedes will win this round, but I think they'll be relying on experience. I don't think they're going to get a massive landslide win, which probably means they avoid Italy in the second round, which is probably okay.
Yep. Sweden are a sort of dark horse team. Like you probably don't think they're going to win, but they're more than capable of beating anybody who could win. I remember in Sweden, we played them in round 6, England, and that's when they had a few of their players doing the organising event as well. So they've got some pretty good players. I don't know if he's captain this year, but Meliscus, I've played him a couple of times. He's a very, very good player.
Yeah, so exactly to that point, 3 years ago in Austria, Sweden finished 9th. Then they were 7th in Belgium and 5th in Sweden. So they're not just able to beat anyone, but they're probably looking to knock on the door themselves.
Yeah. Meliscus is captain. The one thing that this doesn't show actually is the NAF ranking with the particular races, and Meliscus I think was in the top 20 overall. Ozt is also very, very highly ranked, and every single person on that list I think would give both anyone who's good a game. There'd be no easy game. It doesn't matter who you draw. I like that team because it's all 8 players are very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent point.
Yeah, that's the worry if you're a team like Italy or France or England. If you're trying to win the event, it's like you know you're going to play those other teams at some point. You don't worry about that because you can't avoid it. But the games that you worry about are the games like Sweden or Wales, because they're just sort of luck of the draw. You can avoid them completely, but they're very losable rounds as well. So if you just get 2 of those tough games coming in there, then it can really throw a wrench in things.
When you go into a game like that, Joe, do you sort of approach it differently? And in terms of this larger team competition as well, where you've got 8 players on a side, how do you approach it within that context? Do you sort of innately play more defensively, or for the draw?
Yeah, pretty much. The general rule at Eurobowl is a draw is worth more than it is in an individual tournament, because basically to win an individual tournament you need to go 5-1-0 or 6-0 basically, maybe 5-0-1 if you're lucky. But in Eurobowl, that's completely out the window. You're not playing for yourself. You're not playing to finish the very top. You've got a combination of 8 results. It's your position as well as points that you're gaining for yourself. So it becomes much more valuable, which means that sort of defensive style of play becomes equally more valuable.
Yeah.
So Joe, I believe in previous tournaments it was mainly based around the total points scored through the team with a win bonus. But this year it's a little bit different, isn't it? How do you think that would change people's approach?
I don't think it'll change the approach in the actual games themselves, because there was always a bonus point for winning the round. So winning the round was always something you were aiming for. It was always something in the back of your mind. So in terms of like a micro level game thing, it's not going to change too much. It definitely changed the winner though. Like if this points system had been in place the last tournament, then France would have won and not England, just purely based on exactly the same results being played. So yeah, it's very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, excellent. So moving on to the next matches. So I've grouped these 2 together because I like to kind of call it the battle for hosting rights. So the way that hosting works is the country that hasn't yet hosted Eurobowl, that finishes highest in a Eurobowl, gets to host the next one. So we know the next one will be Poland because they finished well last year, and Scotland are kind of ever present on that list. They always seem to be sort of favourites to get hosting rights, but never quite make it. But Malta as well, after the year they had last year, seem to be quite good as well. So starting off with Scotland versus Ireland, in what I like to call the battle of the hangovers, I think there will be some shenanigans going on the Friday night. There might be some challenges, some drinking challenges to see how people fare the next day. So Joe, like you were saying with Greece, Ireland are another new entrant.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic to see. You know, the more the better, the bigger the event, the better. And it's just, you know, Eurobowl, as much as a competition, it's also just a great big party where people get to see each other and meet each other, and just fantastic to have more people.
Yeah, definitely. Although I think they're a really interesting team as well. Obviously, Dan Raging 82 who's organised it all, and he was a little bit, after doing all the organising, a little bit gutted that he's playing a club mate in the first round against San in the first game. But I think there's some interesting players in there as well. And obviously, they are lifted a little bit by people like Itchen and Beppe. And I think to some extent, Longstride's 30% win rate is a little bit of a false statistic because he has been playing halfling solely for the last 12. So we've got to give him a bit of.
I think Ceramol is the dark horse on that team for me.
Yeah.
He's a Sinai player, BB2, and in mine and Dan's local league in London, the ECBBL. He is a very good player. So yeah, and he's got a very favourable matchup as well when I was listening in the first game. So I expect that one to go well for him.
Still fancy the Scottish though for the first round there.
I'm not sure. I think that's an interesting game. Like, yes, Beppe, Ceramol, there's Itchin, some good players in there. I think it's a tough game for Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, if Beppe, Ceramol, and Itchin all win their games, they're 3/8 to an upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Undead High Elves, that's a good matchup for Ireland. Chaos Dwarfs, Dark Elves, I mean, that can go badly for Dark Elves. I mean, I don't hate it myself, but it's one of those games that can just get out of control really, really quickly. So, the Dark Elves. So, yeah, it's an interesting game.
So, what's everyone's predictions for this one?
Draw.
I'm going to go Scotland, so Joe can go Ireland.
I will. Narrow Ireland victory. First round, first win.
Panel is split. I'm just glad it's actually on Saturday morning. Otherwise, it probably would be like 8 admin results, wouldn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, Raging 82 asked me why I wasn't featuring Ireland versus Scotland as the first match, and quite frankly, I don't think I'm going to let any of those guys anywhere near a webcam because they're way too expensive. The insurance will not pay out if I have to explain how it was damaged. And they're either going to be stumbling around hungover before 11 a.m. or 1 minute past 11, they're going to be stumbling around drunk. So there's no winning for me in that situation. So those guys have to stay away. So moving on to the second half of this battle for hosting, we've got the Netherlands against Malta. So we have Sebstar Necromantic against Rebella Skaven, Chaotic Kemp's Undead against Metal Malta's Chaos Dwarves, Edwin Skaven against Ziblu's Undead, Jelmer's Norse against Real Maltese's Amazons, Kraken Cruncher's Chaos Dwarves against Relex's Humans, Vinste's Dwarves against Men Zogner's Wood Elves, Metmuff's Lizardmen against Owen 86 Lizardmen, and another mirror match, Duke Jan and Janino on Dark Elves. So I met a lot of these Maltese guys at the Italian Team Cup, and they are really up for this. So Joe, how would you fancy England playing Malta at some point?
Well, I think we feel confident, but they've got some reasonable players. A couple of Owen and Rolex are totally good players, and a couple of the Maltese players themselves are quite good as well. So yeah, it's no walkover, definitely.
Doesn't Rolex always play humans? And isn't Rolex Italian?
He is. He's a freebooter, I believe.
Yeah. There's 6 Maltese on the team there, right?
I think so. I think it's Rolex and Owen. Rolex and Owen are the Italians from that freebooting in. But I think again, just in terms of total NAF games played, it's actually quite even between these two teams.
Mm.
Yeah, there's it was quite interesting. There's a couple of newer people there. Traditionally, the Dutch team has been made up of people who are just really old timers. The first ever Eurobowl was in Holland. They've been around for, but you can see a couple of new people in there, so it's quite interesting to see some Dutch new blood.
Yeah,
it's a shame the Sage hasn't joined in, because he's Dutch and he's a Blood Bowl 2 streamer. Would love to have seen the Sage at the tournament.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely would have had him down for one of the webcam matches if he was able to make it. Because I think it's like Joe, you're saying about the stats. These numbers are all well and good, but they're obviously in a bubble. You don't know who's playing a lot of joke teams, which might lower their NAF rating. You don't know who's playing a lot of Blood Bowl 2 or a lot of Fumble. Hugely experienced players, but without like strong NAF records. So yeah, some of these guys can be quite deceptive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do we reckon as to this one? What are our predictions?
I fancy Malta in this one. I think they're looking strong to win the hosting rights. I think they'll probably get a reasonable start here.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely. We were just saying, Andy, Malta or Holland to win the round.
Oh, blimey! Sorry, my little girl came into the room, and I don't know an awful lot about the Holland team, and I do know a bit of about Maltese team. So I'm going to go with Malta.
The Maltesers, as we call them. The
Maltesers. We went there.
Oh, good. I'm all right. At least I blundered into it afterwards.
Well, they went there too. They've got a player called the Real Maltesers.
Yeah. Regulars to Andy's Twitch stream will know that his little girl is actually the star of the show. Megatron, as we call her, is actually, I think, always slightly off camera, giving him tips.
I think she does, and she normally sits fairly quietly for at least 20 minutes, and then she gets bored of how many mistakes I make.
Yeah.
I think.
So moving on to Finland against Hungary, and I have to admit these are two teams that I don't know very much about, other than Finland normally has the mighty Bear on their team, which makes it a very noisy table to sit near. But he's actually in the Eurobowl this year, which means sort of the one Finnish player I do know about isn't present. So
I want to a quick shout out to Ratoga, who's playing on Dead. I met him in Sweden, top chap, and I hope he does really well. So quick shout out to him.
Yeah, the Finnish team, I mean, even if you don't know about them before you arrive, you'll definitely know about them. They are huge, they are loud, and they're going to have a lot of fun. So.
Nice.
Yeah, the Hungarian team, I played Itzler when we went to the Palinka Bowl this year, so he's a perfectly reasonable player. So yeah, they've got some good players. Got some good, interesting players on there. So yeah, I don't really know who to pick on this two teams, but there's definitely some good matches going on.
What do you think about they've taken Slan as one of the 8? What do you think?
Interesting.
Yeah, I think normally Doc Max is the only Slan player because he's absolutely mental. But he hasn't taken it this year, so I think this is the only Slan player. But
yeah, that's right. It's the only Slan yet.
Joe, if you were to face Slan, would you be sort of optimistic because they are not a particularly strong team, or would you think this is a real opportunity for shenanigans?
No, I'm quite happy playing Slan. I think when you're an experienced player, you're less likely to get caught out. You just kind of try and weather the storm. Within 6 or 7 turns, all the rerolls will be gone. They'll all be dead. So you just need to sort of survive that beginning part of the game, and then try and win in the second half.
Yeah, because I played Doc Max's brother at Dungeon Bowl, and he had a beautiful Frog Wedding Slan team. It's absolutely amazing.
That's a great team. Yeah, great team.
And he took guard on one of his catchers and 4 rerolls, and I thought, oh hello, I'm in for a game here.
Yeah.
But it should only get to the guard on the catches once, because after you punch it and preferably surf it.
Yeah. It's a matchup though for Slan against Dwarves, right?
Yeah, it only has to work once, and then that's pretty much game over. Dwarves haven't the capacity to turn it around. Yeah. I think your co-host J-Bone has got some stories about that particular game, Dwarves versus Slan, at this tournament as well.
Well, what's hilarious is that it's almost always the Slan team that he commissioned. So he's literally the master of his own demise.
Hoist by his own petard.
That's it. That's it. I do like to think that player would not have taken Slan had it not been for his team. So he literally engineered his own downfall.
So who's going to win?
I go Hungary. That's my bet.
Yeah.
I'd lean towards Hungary. I played against them as the Pirates in Belgium, and they've definitely got some handy players.
And Finland are unlikely to sleep at all on the Friday night. So probably not going to help their chances.
It's only whether Finland's vocal play style will disrupt their opponent's ability to think,
unsettle the Hungarians,
and possibly 2 or 3 tables around them. For me, Finland is what makes Eurobowl. That's why it's such a great party atmosphere, because you've got all these guys coming down, and they've got some handy players.
Yeah, they're lovely guys as well. Usually they bring a nice gift for people and stuff like that. It's a really nice time if you play Finland. So, good luck.
I'm back in Finland. I've just gone through the racial matchups, and I think with the coaches and the racial matchups and the win rates, I think Finland actually will edge them.
Yeah. I was just thinking the same thing, actually. I'd go Finland as well. Although I think the Slan will beat the Dwarfs.
Yeah, imagine taking on a nice solid Dwarfs here and thinking, right, I can just lock these games down.
Yeah.
Here we go. The last thing you want. So moving on to the next matchup, which is Germany against Belgium. Now this is a really interesting matchup for me because both of these are heavyweight teams without sort of being in the top three. Germany, I think, always don't do quite as well as you expect them to. Whilst Belgium seem to have one really good year, and then the next time they have a really bad year, and then they have a really good year again. So going through the individual matchups, we've got Sprinters Dark Elves against Carlos's Lizardmen, Planlos's Lizards against JJ Skaven. I think that's horrible for Lizards, that Skaven, just gut run of shenanigans. Rostasha and Hokdal's Chaos Pact against Flabbergasted Wood Elves, Arioso's Norse against Magic Tomes Necromantic, Aventus Dwarves against the Tice's Humans, Doc Max's Wood Elves against El Ombra's Dark Elves, Candlejack Undead against the Great MC High Elves, Miko's Necromantic against Quetzal's Undead. There are some heavyweight matchups in there.
Yeah, is that the only pack team as well that we see with Rosden?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
It's an interesting pick. I always feel like they're always one skill short, so...
Yeah, there's definitely some experienced players on both teams there, and a lot of people, they know each other quite well, because being Germany and Belgium very close, they sort of overlap some of the tournaments, so yeah. Be a cosy atmosphere, no doubt. Interesting to see that Mads, the Great MC, has got High Elves. He's one of Belgium's better players, so it's interesting that they've decided to give him one of the flyer races. Yeah,
68.3% win rate with his 30 games with High Elves. That's good for High Elves because they don't have kind packages in a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, but if you look at the overall NAF stats, he's the only person over 60% in that team.
Yeah.
So I've no doubt that he's quite capable with them, but it's interesting that they didn't give the strong races.
Which would suggest they think they can do reasonably well because they're giving the weaker coaches the better races to try and improve the team performance overall. So they're not hanging out to dry the weaker coach.
Yeah, so it's definitely a good strategy.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Doc Max El Ombra match turns out. I think that's a good match. That's going to be very close.
Wood Elves Dark Elves is a classic matchup as well. That's as bad as it gets for Wood Elves. They don't really have bad games because they're cheats, but evil, cheating, horrible Wood Elves. But yeah, Dark Elves is the one game that they get a run for them.
So first of all, what do you think are predictions for this particular matchup? But then also afterwards, how do you think Germany and Belgium are going to do in the tournament as a whole? So I'll start with Dan.
This is a slightly different German team, isn't it, than the previous Eurobowl? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah,
I think there's been
some changes, right?
I think there's been some internal controversy within the community, and Keith Orr, who's traditionally always played for Germany, although he lives in Switzerland, has decamped the Swiss team now. So.
Right. Okay. I mean, so Candlejack's captaining, isn't he, this time?
Yeah.
I quite fancy the Germans here, and I reckon they could cause a few upsets. They've got really solid picks, with the exception maybe of Pact, but Roston's he's a solid player. So yeah, I fancy the Germans. I reckon you maybe an interest outsider for a good solid top 5.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yeah. Germany and Belgium are both the same sort of area. They're kind of like Dan mentioned earlier about Belgium going a good tournament and a bad tournament. They sort of yo-yo a bit within the tournament itself. Tend to win a game, then go up to the high tables and play a good team, and then bounce back down again. And so for Belgium and Germany, it's kind of the draw that they get is super important as their final place. If they, if after this game the winner gets a good game, thrashes someone and goes up the top, then they could just get smoked.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the tournament. But if they can inch their way up slowly, then they may end up finishing reasonably high.
My prediction: Germany are going to win that 5-3 that round.
Okay.
Ooh, I like it. That's decisive. I like the decisiveness.
I'll go for numbers now as well. So,
Yeah, we've escalated.
it's moved the game on.
Quite a bit of time to think. And I went through the matchups, and I reckon there's 5 or 6 games that go Germany's way in that, and therefore I've gone for the safe bet, which is 5.
So on the prediction now, I think Leipziger is doing a Water Bowl prize prediction for the total number of touchdowns scored across Eurobowl and European.
That's correct. Yeah, Eurobowl and European. And then the tiebreaker is the correct guessing correctly who's winning both.
The tiebreaker, like who is gonna?
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
6 people get it. Bang on.
Quite a lot of people are just multiplying the number of entrants by 3, and then
it's that's kind of a reverse tiebreaker. Normally, a tiebreaker is a more distinct or difficult number to pick than the original thing. So you're picking a number out of 1,000 for the top, and then you're picking 3 possibly for the tournament as a tiebreaker. It's interesting.
Quite a Water Bowl thing to do.
So it's the taking part that counts, Jay.
No way, not at all.
No.
Oh, okay. Have we just determined the difference between me and you two?
So just before we move on to the final 4 teams, I just wanted to give a quick mention for Bloxfam, mainly because I was supposed to do it yesterday and totally forgot. So if any of you guys are planning to attend Eurobowl this weekend, please do consider helping out Bloxfam, which is the official NAF charity. The way that it works is it collects all of your old bits that you no longer want. So teams, board, like some people have like 30 Blood Bowl boards. You don't need 30 Blood Bowl boards. Bring some to Eurobowl and please hand it into a tournament organizer. And then what those guys do is they give it to other tournaments which hold raffles and auctions for charity. So the main one in the UK is Thrud Bowl, and they managed to raise over £5,000, mainly because they got people really drunk before they started bidding on stuff. But that's still, it's all good. It's all for charity, so it's fine. So if you are attending this weekend, please do bring along any spares you have, and then just hand them in to one of the tournament organisers. So then moving on to the final 4 matchups. So we have Portugal against Wales. So Andy, as a member of Team Wales, go for it.
Okay. So we've got Asian guy playing Orcs versus Hat. The Necromantic. Yes. Asian guy has played. He's actually played a bit of Orcs before, so I'll be interested to see how he gets on with that. He normally can be quite. He should be solid. Fisher, it's S Fisher. I'm not sure why it's not showing Fisher there. I don't actually know what S Fisher's playing.
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault because I used the VLOOKUP on S Fisher, and then the guys yesterday only put Fisher in, which is why it hasn't worked. So if you give me a second, he is playing Wood Elves.
Lizardman? Oh, he's playing the Woodies.
He's playing Wood Elves, and just for the stats, he's got a 61% win rate with Wood Elves overall. And
so he's the team's best player then, is he?
He's got 4.
You're lucky I'm not on camera right now.
Well, you're right, Dan. I can't think of anybody else on the team.
No, there's no others. Yeah. 30. Oh, it's 83%. Okay.
Dionysian's alright. Actually, to be fair, Dionysian, I didn't realise what a great run he's been having with Amazon so far. He's just started a YouTube channel where he's doing a lot of Blood Bowl 2 with Amazons. And I thought it was quite interesting that he picked Amazons, but 82% win rate with Amazons.
Yeah, it's good.
That's it's pretty.
Yeah, you can.
I have quite a small sample size. So yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, it's all about once you get a sample size of above sort of 77, I think it's
incredible.
Yeah.
It's suddenly it
That's
is.
the magic number.
77 is the threshold. Just so we're all clear on that. So I think S Fisher should be able to nail that one. The following one is actually a really good matchup, I think, for the Dwarves, unless the Yeti has a game. So we should be all right there as well. So I think that's if you're the Orcs, I think we just try and make sure we don't lose that game. We should be able to go and win on the following two. Chaos Dwarves versus Amazons isn't a very nice matchup.
Boone is the most experienced player by a long way as well, 803 NAF games, so that's a pretty tough one for Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, if Spencer can pull something out, great. If not, taking a draw there, we should be okay. The next one, Fluffy's probably our most inexperienced coach. However, he's drawn the tie of the round in terms of how it should go, because the Chaos undoubtedly will have the Minotaur, so deal with that, and then the rest of it's fine. That's actually should be straightforward. Then you've got some idiot on Dark Elves playing some Dwarves. I'm hoping there that the Dwarves aren't. It's not. It's the race. It's that game I don't like playing. Actually, Dwarves as Dark Elves. But I don't know. I should be all right there. Hopefully. You got G Coleman playing Skaven. He is from Blood Bowl 2, although he has turned up and played at some tournaments. I think he held. Did he play you, Joe? Or was he played someone else's team?
I can't remember. He might have done. Let me just check.
Plays at UKTC and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he played someone for Team England last time round at.
No, not me.
He played someone, and I think he got a draw out of whoever it was. Okay. He was quite pleased with that. So he's definitely a solid player. Skaven Wood Elves is just going to be a shootout, isn't it? That could go anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a tough game. That's it. It's a tough game for because Skaven have got the built-in sure hands to start with on the thrower, and they've just got all of their own toys as well. So yeah, it's always been an interesting game.
Yeah, and then the final one, 20 Phoenix is definitely one of our other very experienced, good coaches. He's playing Undead against Dark Elves, and I'm backing him to get at least a draw in that game. So I think we can win that round. I absolutely think we can win that round. I don't think it'll be a landslide, but I think it's definitely winnable.
So G Coleman in chat has said that he played Jimmy and Podfree at UKTC and got 2 draws. So that's pretty good.
Very good.
Good. Yeah, I think we can get a result there for sure.
Yeah, I'd back you guys definitely.
Yeah, looking at the lineup, I think Hacktar's probably the hardest matchup because I played Hacktar at the German Bowl, and yeah, he's a very strong player and very experienced tournament player as well. So, but other than that, I think Wales are even or slightly ahead in every other matchup.
Mm.
Yep. I fancy Wales in this one.
Yeah.
So is that 3 Wales and then Andy going for a draw?
yeah, I'll play for a draw in this one. That's fine. I'll get the team will carry me over. It's fine.
Perfect.
And we've also learned that 77 matches played for a race is the cut-off. So I think we've learned a lot about this matchup.
That's the point at which statistical significance kicks in. Okay. We'll get Sam to make a spreadsheet. We'll do a spreadsheet showing that tipping point. So who have we got left? 3 games left. Switzerland against Spain. Now, Spain for me is also a funny one because they should be challenging every year based on the strength of their community and the players that they've got. But again, maybe a bit like Germany, they seem to fall a little bit short sometimes. So going through the matchups, we have Mad Matt's Undead against Duke Luther Van Hawk's Dark Elves, FIFO's Orcs against Dark Duke's Norse, Seeper's Dark Elves against, I'm not even gonna have a go at that one, Necromantic, Otis's Humans against Beluduccio's Lizardmen, Strider 84's Wood Elves against Kewan's Undead, Keithor's Lizardmen against Malas Noticias Humans, Latrell's Dwarves against Don Pipon's Wood Elves, and Jacaro's Necromantic against Idroch Skaven. Tasty matchups in there. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, lots of interesting things about this. Switzerland and Spain are 2 of the strongest teams outside of the top 3 or 4. So you're looking at sort of 5 or 6, so 5 or 6 of these 2 teams, you would think. So it's going to be a very tough draw for them both in the first round. Very interesting. Switzerland have got some very experienced players. Keithor, Jakiro, Strider, real stalwarts of this team for the last decade or so. Spain are fascinating because I think they play more NAF games than any other country, even France. But somehow they don't seem to have the I don't know whether they don't care about Eurobowl or whether they have their internal politics going on, but they don't seem to approach it in the same way as sort of the Italians and the English. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just been bad luck. I don't know. But yeah, we went to the Bally Cup this year in the Basque Country, which isn't Spain, but it's close to Spain, or maybe in Spain, depending on your politics. And they've got some really good players. Yeah, we played some good games. So if they bring their best 8 players, then Spain are going to, they're dark horse, another dark horse. I seem to have a few of those. But yeah, they've got some good players.
They've got a lot of depth as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
There's some really cracking Spanish players in the European as well. Yeah, terrifying.
Worth looking at their win rate. Actually, I've just been scouting around the spreadsheet, and they are the red column where you've got the played and the actual rating. That's all in the high 60s pretty much, and so they'd be a terrifying team for the top 3 to play. They definitely could win any round. It's whether or not they can put that to can they get a nice favourable draw and put to bed the teams that they should beat, and then they'll play 1 or 2 of the top 3, win those games, they can win the tournament. They are absolutely a team that can win it.
Yeah, definitely. They got Duke Luthor and Don Pimpon over 70% global win rate. That's big numbers. That's when you start to go, oh, okay, what's going on here? So yeah, that's interesting.
I think as well they're really good specialists for their race. So all of them, with the races that they're taking to Eurobowl, all have a 70% or greater win rate, apart from 2 guys. And 66 gets a little bit close.
25 games is still a pretty good effort for 80% of the order, isn't it? Yeah.
And then I was looking at the 2 that didn't have. So we got a couple guys in the 50s, and basically it was because the event means that a couple of players don't get to play with their favourite team. They were basically sort of the best of the rest. So the only reason we've got 2 guys in the blue column for Spain that are below 70% is simply because they were shifted on to away from their favourite race. But if they could pick their favourite race, they would have been 70 plus as well. So very, very strong players. So what do we feel about...
very tough game.
What do we feel about Switzerland versus Spain? This feels to me quite close.
This is too tough to call for me. They've both got some very, very good players. Maybe leaning towards Spain because they've got the strength and depth. All eight chairs looking pretty good. But yeah, Switzerland can win. They've got a number of players who can win against anybody. So yeah, gonna be a great round.
Yeah, I think I'd lean towards Spain partly because of some of the matchups as well. Like the chap using the Norse against the Orcs is quite good, I think, and then the Wood Elves playing the Dwarves. I'd probably go like 5-3 in Spain's favour.
Yeah, Spain have got Lizardmen versus the Swiss Humans as well, which is just a horror matchup for humans.
Yeah, although that's mirrored back again, Lizardmen humans.
Oh yeah, sure.
The other way as well. So yeah, like you say, it's gonna be really tight. But the Spanish could really set a marker, couldn't they, in the first round with a big win?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Swiss.
Oh, I like it.
I like the chocolate, so that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
They do actually bring chocolate. They did it in Sweden, didn't they? They brought some chocolate coins to give to everyone.
Yeah, they gave people coins to use as their reroll markers when they played. If you want to kick off, they gave you an extra one.
But don't even in the first half because the second half gets harder. So before we move on to the final 2 matches, it's completely unprompted, so Dan doesn't know I'm going to do this. Dan, you host a podcast, the Double Skulls podcast, don't you?
I do.
And your sidekick J-Bone sometimes is along as well?
Yeah, is he about to walk in behind me or something?
No, it's not This Is Your Life. Do you want to do a quick promo?
Yeah, so we are a Midlands-based podcast, and we chat a lot of shit for up to 3 hours, and you can listen to all of that in one go if you want for free. So it's the Double Scores podcast. We try and get podcasts out every couple of months or so, although we've both been busybodies over this summer, so it's not so much. But we're going to do one in a couple of weeks after Essen Spiel, because we're going to talk about the new team release as well. GWS are bringing out the next team then, and we'll also be talking about Eurobowl a lot. So if you want to hear about how we got on in the European, that is the place to look.
So we'll post a link to that.
It is the least worst podcast, so clean praise for you there, everyone out there.
I think that's the nicest thing you've said ever, Joe.
Pretty much.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll pop a link to the podcast in the chat in just a second. I do want to know, how long did it take you and J-Bone to practice your last intro, which was horrific?
Probably 5 or 6 takes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We got quite drunk. It was a Friday night one. That was a good short episode.
I won't traumatise the people watching. If they don't have, they can go and look at it themselves, listen to it themselves when we link it in a moment. So moving on to another one of the top 3 in the next round. It is England against Norway, and I think it's fair to say it's about time someone beat England, isn't it, Joe?
I'd be quite happy if we didn't do that again this time.
Okay. So just for the people,
don't mind winning.
The people that don't know, England, it's getting a bit boring now. England have won England have won the last 4 Eurobowls, and 5 out of the last 6 to put them on a total of 6 wins. So they've been pretty dominant this decade. It's been close a few times. But they found a way. Lycos is back as captain. So, Joe, do you want to take us through your team?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. First match is Nippy Longscars Dwarves versus Great White Hope on Undead. Then we've got Jim Jiminy, who's the world number 1 on Wood Elves, against Endlos on Orcs. Then Captain Lycos Necromantic against Minoc, again Necromantic, mirror match. You got Gegster, Poor Geg, on Amazons, who's going to be one of the featured games, I think, with Dan on Tackle Zone, versus Barmushan on Humans. We've got Pete W on Dark Elves versus Straum on Dark Elves, mirror match. Purple Goose Humans versus Ref on Skaven. Some idiot called Jomanji versus Zulu on Lizardmen. I've got Undead, powering me as usual. And then Pippi on Lizardmen versus Bothan on Wood Elves.
So how are you feeling about the matchups? There's a couple of tricky ones in there.
Yeah, racial matchups. We don't think we've come out particularly well. I think they're just about as bad as you can get with these particular teams against each other. But I've got to be confident and play our normal game and see what happens.
So perhaps the most striking thing is when we look at the total number of games played. Norway as a team have 729 and England have 5 players who have more than that by themselves.
Yeah, I was actually looking up a stat earlier, which I quite liked, was that England have got 5 players with 800 or more NAF games played, and the other 21 Eurobowl nations have only got 4 players between them that have played 800 or more games.
Wow.
So I think that goes to show some of the experience that the England team's got. I guess that's why we do all right, because we're all idiots who've got nothing better to do than play Blood Bowl. But yeah, there's a few of us that have played a bit too much.
Yeah, that's an incredible statistic. I think I've played maybe 100 and something games, 120. And I feel like I've played a fair bit of tabletop. To take that and increase it by nearly a factor of 10 is just mind-blowing.
Yeah,
it's incredible, absolutely incredible. I do like some of the matchups there. Endelos, who's playing Orcs for Norway, normally plays Wood Elves, so he is playing the world number 1. But I think he should know all about Wood Elves, so I'm interested to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, Endelos is a good player. I've played him. He's along with Straum, he's probably their 2 best in Norway. So yeah, it's that's a tough game for Jim. I know he doesn't like Orcs particularly either. So yeah, interesting one to watch out.
Yeah, I think the Pete W Straumy game probably plays out as a draw unless weird things happen in the dice. Because if you're playing to not lose, you think both teams should be capable of scoring on turn 8.
Yeah,
that one's okay. Purple Goose, Human Skaven. That could be an interesting one. Goose, just such a good player. Such a good player. I think I favour him on that one.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah. The chat just asked about whether or not they think that Pippi with his Lizardmen can beat the Wood Elves, assuming that he's gone for the 2 tackle. What do you think, Joe?
I don't hate that game. It's the traditional bogey game that people always talk about. But if you look at the numbers, there are worse games. For example, Lizardmen are better against Chaos Dwarves than Wood Elves are against Lizardmen, and that's not a game that anybody talks about. So it's not, it's a bad game, but it's not unwinnable.
Yeah, I think when I started playing Lizardmen, I had a huge amount of trouble with Wood Elves. I think the first time I played them, it was like turn 4 of the second half. I was 5-2 down. I didn't really know what was going on, and one of the referees came over and called it on time, but I think it might just have been a mercy killing. But then you play it more and more, you figure out some tactics because you have to play very differently against them, and actually it's not too bad if you know what you're doing and you've got some experience. There's some good counterplay options.
Yeah, it's one of those games in Blood Bowl where you have to kind of learn it a bit. You have to learn the matchup. There are a lot of games that just sort of, you play themselves. You play your normal game the way you always play, regardless of the opposition. But there are certain particular matchups you just have to learn a specific different tactic for. And
yeah, there's other ones. Zulu's in the chat, so Joe, your opponent is actually here now.
Hi, Zulu.
Do you want to give him a little? What do you think about that matchup?
I don't like Lizardmen particularly with Undead. I think that's one of the ones I don't like very much. But I think at the last Eurobowl, I think I got over a hump a little bit with it and started to work out the strategy a bit more against good players with Lizardmen. So I'm going to put that into practice and see if it works.
Good. And there's 2 other games I think I'm just talking about. Gegster's Amazons versus Bombution's Humans is the first one for me. Gegster is an absolutely phenomenal coach for that race. But Bombution definitely needs to not be underestimated. The last time I played him, he beat me.
Okay.
And if I was the Humans there, I think I quite like that because you're probably running a tackle. You've got just as much guard. You're armor 8 versus armor 7. I think Humans can do stuff in that matchup.
Yeah, played well. Humans, the stronger. They've got as much guard. It's definitely an interesting game. But Paul is such a good player with Amazons. It's nonsense. Yeah. He's beaten Chaos Dwarves at Eurobowls with Amazons, so he's.
Yeah, he's very good. And I think the only one game we haven't really talked about is Nippy's game against Great White Hope. Now, I had the pleasure of sitting next to Nippy earlier this year, I think it was, and I was the grumpiest git ever because it was so hot. We were in this room and it must have been 30 degrees, and I was just not a happy man. And looking back on the tournament, I respected how cool he was, just able to just be chilled. He must be such a nice person to have in the team to keep everyone calm and focused and not run away with themselves. He's such
Mark
a
is one of the nicest men you're ever going to meet. It's a pleasure to play alongside. Yes. So yeah, he likes that game actually. Undead of the tier 1 teams, which is interesting because as the undead player, I quite fancy dwarves. So yeah, it's interesting that Mark has a different perspective on that. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, but taking the right match overall, I think England are probably the favourites for that. As I think you're going to be favourites for most matchups. But it's a game, a matchup I think you guys are going to have to respect because otherwise Norway could steal.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some proper players on that team, and if the good players play well and a couple of other games come unstuck, anything can happen. So yeah, respect our opponents as always.
Yeah,
I think this might be one of the benefits of the new system where the kind of the team win is more important than the individual score, because I think Norway are one of those teams you wouldn't really want to face in the old scoring system, because even if you get the team win, 2 or 3 players in there could easily beat you and just chip some vital points off. And given that often a tournament can be won by just half a point, can make all the difference.
Yeah. Speaking of that half a point, there was a fantastic or terrible for the Italians in the last Eurobowl in Portugal, where England won, where one of the Italians forgot to score in his turn 16. So he literally had a walk in and then just moved his turn counter along and then didn't score, and the opponent didn't spot it in time, and so he didn't win the game, and that was the point that stopped them winning the tournament.
Whoa!
Wow!
So yeah, we won by half a point, and if that had gone the other way, that would sort of 1 point swing. So it would have been just Italy rather than England.
Wow!
Oh my lord! Oh, that's like end stream.
We should have ended the stream on that. That was something to end the stream on.
How do we recover from that?
Joe's got a better story after that. I'm wondering what you can top it with.
I should have saved that now. We've got one more match, haven't we? Oh no, we've got Denmark. The tie of the round. Possibly that's what
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we move on to that, just a quick note. Gegster is currently on 996 NAF games. His 1000th game will be the first game on the Sunday, which will be one that we are streaming on this channel. So if you want to see him take his Amazons into his 1000th NAF tabletop tournament game, which is absolutely incredible, please do watch us here. So where's Norway going to finish overall? Because they tend to finish sort of middle field.
Third.
Can they do third?
Yeah, top half, I reckon. Yeah, maybe 10th.
Yeah, definitely top 10. Look at 22 teams a sharp. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. So now for the big one of round one, and it was it kind of spoiled the excitement of the live draw yesterday, having France versus Denmark out as the first one, because you're like, oh, that's all the excitement gone immediately.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know, actually. I don't know about you, Joe. I was quite pleased to see those two draw each other because there was only England to avoid at that point.
Yeah, I didn't mind too much, actually. Yeah. There may have been a perspective of WhatsApp gone round.
So, France versus Denmark. We were hoping that Ganethil might have arrived already. He's the French captain. We just had a little bit more delaying tactics to build this false cliche drama. I'll just hand over to Andy for a moment. Andy, as I said, was...
I'm about to get a visitor, sorry. Oh,
yeah,
hi.
You said it was going to be like
it is going to be like that North Korean bit.
Yeah. We just need someone to come in and rush and grab it.
No, there's only me here, so we've just been hanging out. That's where I keep disappearing off to make sure that he's still alive. Yeah, I'm not going to get in trouble.
Okay. I mean, I'm hoping you're not leaving him in too dangerous a situation.
No.
Valid. So as I said, just pause over with Andy for a second to talk about all the great streaming he's done on Twitch and his YouTube channel. So Andy, would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I thought there was another person called Andy. I was like, okay. I don't know. I'd say that we've been streaming for, along with my co-caster Zunk, for about just over a year now. It's going well. We've started putting up some YouTube-only content, which is great, and it's all about the way that I think through games, and I do some replay analysis. And in the replay analysis games, I will point out what I think the opponent could have done better, but also where I think I've gone wrong, and sort of how younger Andy could have played a better game. And I'm quite open to some feedback. I'm just going to see if I can find one. Here you go. Here's the latest offering. If you don't mind me linking this into the chat.
Please do. Whilst you do that, I was just going to say, I've actually used one of your replay analysis videos for one of the tactics articles on the tackle zone, because one of the things I think a lot of players do when they're not especially experienced is it's very easy just to blame bad dice. It's like, oh, if I just made that go for it there, I would have won. Whereas the really good players aren't having to make that go for it at all. And so to see kind of your honesty, which is it's quite hard for the old ego to look back at games you've played and sort of rip your own play apart. But I think you do a really good job of going through and saying, no, I could have done that better, I could have done that better.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, there's Blue Members just said it's the best thing on YouTube. I don't know about that, but it's something you wanted to see for a long time. Good. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I'd love to get it out to a wider audience. We normally pick in 300, 400, 500 views a video. It'd just be nice to get more people and find out what people. But I mean, I'm enjoying making them.
Excellent. And if all your Blood Bowl 2 fans want to see you do a tabletop game, you will be live on this channel the third game on the Saturday, which starts around 5 o'clock. Oh, Blue Member 82 is Raging 82. Oh, quick. That's how we got past the bots that I'd set up.
I think Raging, you've made a couple of comments, I think, actually. So thank you very much.
So here we go. Here's the heavyweight match. France against Denmark. What a round one tie. So we have, I mean, there's no weak games here. It's mental. Karak's Lizardmen against Mr. Cappuccino's Dwarves. Clemento's Wood Elves against Miss Sweden's Necromantic. Zul's Humans against Jakra's Lizardmen. Simon ACP's Pro Elves against Special One's Undead. Live on this channel first thing on Saturday will be BB's Undead against K-Food's Wood Elves. What an opener that will be. Party's Dark Elves against Triple Skull's Chaos Dwarves. Justicium's Necromantic against Topper's Dark Elves. And Slad Mortis's Chaos Dwarves against Tank's Amazons. Whew. What do we reckon there?
I played Simon and Clemento on the Fumble, on the Eurobowl build-up game, Fumble tournament, and got absolutely walloped in both matches. It was horrendous. But I just was cursing my luck at drawing them both. Like I think I drew Simon in round 1 and Clemento in like round 3.
Oh my
but
Lord.
it's awesome. It's exactly what it's all about, isn't it? From my perspective.
This is a round that would grace the top table on round 6 quite easily. It's absolutely fantastic game. Both teams have got so many good players, like all 8 players on the team. Fantastic. The French are always the team that England are most worried about, I think. They've just got... The problem is they can't fit all of their good players into the team. If the Eurobowl was 30-man teams, France would win it every single year. It's just a case of they're having to rotate all of their players in to give them a go. But yeah, Simon, BB, Slad Mortis has been out of the team for a few years. But he is such a good player. So yeah, it's very, very, very fun round.
Yeah, I played Slad Mortis and I was just sweating the whole way through that game. And about halfway through the second half, when it was clear he was playing for a draw, I have never been so thankful. Just like, oh my God, I'm taking a draw all day long. On that point, Joe, I think it's a really good point about not being able to fit all of their good players in. One thing I've noticed this year is, in terms of actual numbers of caps, this is actually quite an inexperienced French team in terms of Eurobowl playing for France. Not overall, they're super experienced. But the racial ratings, Zul is the only player below 70%, and that's 68.3% with humans. This is phenomenal.
Yeah. Also, you have to take French statistics with a pinch of salt because it's so tough playing there.
Yeah.
So you need to almost add 2 or 3% to it just to compare it what it would be in another country. A lot of the English guys go to France all the time to get good competitive games in. That's where we go if we want to get some real tough practice. So yeah, it's, as you said, with other numbers in a vacuum or take on the pinch of salt, again, you need to look at these and think, well, they're good for any country, but in France, these are ridiculous numbers.
Dan, I think you found that at Lutece this year, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was, you hadn't got that natural submarining that you can do in a British tournament most of the time, where you'll play some better players and then you'll sort of settle in a position. Whereas, yeah, I think as we went into round 3 or 4 with the tackle zone, we were all sort of hitting really average numbers, but then still playing players with 200 plus ratings in the bottom half of the tournament. And this is like a 200-man tournament as well. So it was amazing, but it's such a beneficial experience for me personally because of that. In terms of exactly what Joe was just saying about playing 6 games where you actually really had to think in all 6 of them.
Yeah, sadly Lutece is not on next year because it's a World Cup year, but I definitely advise anyone that can get to Lutece. It's a lovely part of the world and some really great players and really cheap beer as well, if that can swing it, and the food is fantastic. Sorry, Andy, I cut you off there.
No, I was just hoping no, never mind. It's the mic's picking up. Emma's not very happy. Just making sure that it wasn't picking it up.
Okay, good. So, I mean, I look at every single one of these games and I can't decide who's going to win it. Are there any? Did you guys see any that even sort of favour one side or the other?
Well, there are a few racial matchups that favour somebody. Like Lizardmen versus Dwarves is pretty good in there. There's a Chaos both in favour of France.
Oh well, for undead, I'll be the undead every day there, please.
Yeah, but Simon has got his fruity 2 dirty player pro.
Yeah, that was what I played against in the fumble matchup that we had. It's horrendous. Yeah. He's got like a 13-man roster with 2 dirty players. Grim.
Simon has actually swung me to the world of fouling. I asked
He's
him
taking you to the dark side, Dan, hasn't
he? He has taken me to the dark side. I think in something like the 40 tournaments that I'd played in, up to that point, I'd fouled 3 times in total. One was a bit of a grumpy I was going to lose foul, and 2 of them were against Roxana on the floor. So I think anyone would take that. Yeah. And then I spoke to Simon and Simon, and he said, "Yeah, take this Norse team, no blitzers, 1 oof because it has wrestle to get the guy on the ground, and then just foul your way through the game." I'm now sitting on a 72% win rate with Norse. It's got to be broken if I can do that.
Yeah, it's horrible. I just it goes against all of my natural instincts. I just can't. I don't think I can play it properly. I think I just play a bad roster and just not dare foul. But if you can embrace it, then it seems to work.
Yeah, I think in the first one I went like halfway. This was at Lutece, and he absolutely shouted me out on it. Just like, no, don't go halfway. Yeah. He's like, why are you doing this? And then he captained our team for the Dorbali Cup, and he was playing a Bretonian team with Griff, and he was watching my game more than he was watching his own game because he was so keen on these fouls going well. And game 1 I didn't sit next to him, and games 2 through 6 he made me sit next to him so he could watch the game. And then when England were playing Sweden in the Football World Cup, he said that I should go and watch that and that he would play it for me. So he was really keen to take on that team.
Yeah. Speaking of wanting to watch games, I almost don't want to play my first game. I just want to watch this.
Come and watch these, yeah.
Spectating Blood Bowl is almost more fun than playing it sometimes because you don't get the angst of all the dice rolls possibly failing. But getting to just walk up and down this line of games for a couple of hours would be just delightful.
It's great that Food has drawn BB in the first round. What an amazing first stream for you.
Yeah. 2 absolutely lovely guys as well. Thomas is a wonderful man. He played with us once. We were only 5 English guys, so he joined the English for a team in Toulouse. So he was a very welcome addition.
And he was at the UKTC with us, wasn't he, for the Beardman incident?
He was. The infamous Beardman.
I'll tell you some of these stories over the weekend, guys. They go on far too long for now. So here's the tricky part, guys. Who?
Oh man!
Who's gonna win this?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Raw.
Hey! I'd love a draw all day long. Yeah.
Now we have Megatron on camera.
I am going to go with a France win 5-3.
Ooh.
I think, but probably a draw. I wanted to say draw really. I was just trying to be less of a fence-sitting.
Yeah. If it's not a draw, because otherwise we're all going to pick draw because we can't pick.
You've got to back the French, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the French.
Thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, if you had to pick someone, you'd pick the French, just because they're relentless strength and depth. A couple of the Danish people may not be quite as good as their French counterparts, but they're still good players who can absolutely win the game. So yeah, this could be a few dice here and there. It could be a blowout for either team. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
What about?
That's going to be the main thing, is it's how they approach it initially, because I suppose you could lose your whole weekend if things go badly in this first round.
Well, I don't know. 501 is still a potential tournament winning record. So, you know, if you get absolutely thrashed, you could find yourself getting the submarine on. So yeah, it's interesting.
I do wonder actually, because thinking like England, Norway, I would think that you guys probably are favourites, but I don't think you're going to tonk them. And France, Denmark is probably also going to come fairly close. There is a serious chance that you four will end up playing each other following round. But if we rewind a little bit further, Switzerland, Spain's not going to be a landslide. And therefore, one of you guys could either run up into each other in round 2, which could be really interesting. And you could also then have one of the lesser nations actually sat somewhere near the top after the first couple of rounds, because all the big guns are playing each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sort of flipping that on its head, there's going to be a very good team who just get edged out on the first round, and then potentially having to meet a Denmark. I mean, losing your first round and then playing a Denmark or a France, that's going to be tough. That's going to break you.
Yeah, a lot of the luck of the tournament comes in like sort of the round 2 and 3 draws, because you're going to end up playing, if you're an England or Italy or France, you're going to end up playing all of those teams anyway. So it's kind of like who you get in round 2. Like, it's because it's completely random. Like, you know, you could win 4.5, 3.5 and play somebody terrible, or you could win 6-2 and then play someone good. So it's just complete lottery at that point. And you know, those rounds 2 and 3 are the interesting ones where, you know, you could get a great draw, or you could really struggle.
So that kind of moves us on to the tournament as a whole. So top 3, we reckon France, Italy, England, but what order?
So Joe, as my tiebreaker, I had gone for Team England.
You've got England as your Eurobowl touchdown tiebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
All important.
But yeah, I quite like the look of the Italians. You know,
well,
it just depends so massively on these draws, doesn't it, in terms of what happens.
We talked about guessing the number of touchdowns has actually been quite hard, but picking between Italy, France, and England, that's.
I'm going to pick Sim Sweden to win it.
Controversial.
And the reason I've gone for it is because I just keep looking at all 8 of them are more than capable of winning their games, and therefore they should have the ability to break into the top 3. And it'd be great to see someone random win it. Sorry, Joe, but it would be someone. It would be good to see a different team win it.
If someone else is going to win it, I'd much rather it be Sweden.
Some rivalry, some old rivalries kicking in there. Ooh.
Yeah, do a Leicester.
Yeah, it's like Leicester win. Yeah, we're all fine if Leicester City win the Premier League. As long as it's not.
In terms of dark horses, then, who would you look at? Because I guess the Spanish also, we've said already, haven't we? That.
Yeah, I think we got to keep an eye on the Spanish. I'm not familiar with all their players, but if they've decided to have a crack at it this year, then there could be real challenges.
We have someone in the chat. Special someone.
Yeah.
Hello, Ramaset.
Hi, Ramaset. Hi, Galanthil. Unfortunately, Galanthil, we're just kind of winding up to the end, but we're just making some predictions, and we're talking about how we'd all like France to not win it. No, we won't really. We think France. We think you've picked one hell of a French team this year. I mean, it's hard not to pick one hell of a French team, to be honest, because you have so many players. I think, Joe, you said to me once that France probably have the best 8 coming into a lot of Eurobowls, and then if you picked French players 9 to 16, they'd probably be the second best team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you say that, and it's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
There's so many good players.
So dark horses. I'm gonna go for Malta over Scotland for the hosting rights. I think they can have a good one.
Well, that'd be great. But personally, I prefer that because I've been to I haven't been to Malta, so
Scotland. It's not gonna be like Ouija Bowl. But yeah, because I was talking to the Maltese guys, and they said they were talking to their sports minister, who's gonna help them out to host Eurobowl if they win hosting rights. So might be a nice cheap travel to. Out to
Maybe we can get onto Nicola Sturgeon or whatever and help with the Scottish bid.
maybe. Ali, have you thought of that? Ali, get onto Nicola Sturgeon. See what money she can throw Eurobowl away.
Save some money painting that bridge they're always painting.
Yes, they can do without that for a year, surely.
Stop painting the bridge.
Surely.
Give it to Eurobowl.
So, Andy, a bit like you, I probably don't have quite as high hopes for Sweden as to actually win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make top 3, especially because the draw can be a bit bouncy. If you lose round 6, you can end up a bit further down. If you have a good round 6, you can end up a bit higher. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sweden top 3. Everyone's nodding silently. I was hoping that was a little bit more controversial than that.
I reckon I'd like to see top 3: Spain, Norway, and Sweden.
I think you're talking jive. I think it's going to be England, Italy, France.
I think Andy's obviously done some demographics analysis of where his Blood Bowl 2 streamers are based, pandering to the audience.
Maybe a little.
Poland. So we know the Polish in other Games Workshop games, such as 40k and Age of Sigmar. They're very, very passionate, very, very strong players. Since the re-release of Blood Bowl 2016, they've come on strong as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish top 5 either.
Okay.
And in terms of the Zulu just mentioned that Hungary are going to be going for hosting rights as well.
Okay.
So,
right, excellent,
brilliant.
Brilliant. So it's a 3-way fight. Good.
So
that's good.
Yeah. Does that make it 3 ways or 4 ways?
It's 4. So Ireland, Scotland, Malta, Hungary.
Ireland aren't gonna.
Don't know if Ireland.
I don't think Ireland can they?
Irish enough.
Too much drinking.
Well, no, they're technically in the hunt, is all I meant.
They are in the hunt.
They're going to win it.
I think technically, under FIFA parentage rules, they do have 6 Irishmen.
Yeah, that's a problem. Do they qualify?
Technically,
Yeah.
I think they just about get that. Maybe.
Would Norway qualify for hosting rights, or are they not trying to host it?
I don't think they want to because of how expensive it is over there. I think they're not put themselves forward.
I went last year and I'm still paying the loan off. It was 15 quid for a pint of beer.
Yeah,
so yeah, Zulu.
There's a lot of beer drunk at Eurobowl, so that
there is. Zulu in chat says Ireland are not eligible, so maybe just a 3-way between.
Zulu is on the committee, so he would know.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. I'd be well up for a trip to Budapest.
It's beautiful city. We went this year. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
So Zulu, if Scotland, getting into controversial territory here, if Scotland don't win hosting rights this time, are we going to keep going? Are we going to keep going till Scotland get hosting rights, or are we going to reset the clock?
We have passed an official ratification in the last meeting, so there are actual rules for when it changes.
Oh, really?
So the answer to your question is no. It will keep going until there's nobody left.
Oh, right, okay.
The one set.
Yeah.
So we need new nations every year.
Yeah. So Greece, they could win hosting. Maybe we don't know the Greeks. Maybe they've got some sharks, VB2 sharks on their team.
Yeah.
Or you're going to Athens, 2021.
Well, that's it. The NAF stats only tell half the story. It's in the charter.
Cool.
So, I think so. We've run for about an hour and a half now. I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to mention.
I don't think so. Good job, Dan. Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming along. And once again, big thanks to Andy David for making this all possible, for his technical assistance. It's really appreciated. So just to wrap up there, guys, the next time you'll see the stream will be Saturday morning. So tomorrow I'll be heading up to Cardiff to help the guys out on the Friday, get all the webcams sorted, and then if you're joining us in Eurobowl. The venue is open Friday evening, but I think there's also some plans to head out on the town, pretty much wherever it might be loudest. Obviously, we'll have all the European guys joining us as well, so that's just shy of 400 people in total, I think, descending on Cardiff this weekend. And then the Saturday morning, we'll start about an hour before the first games kick off with a preview show. Unfortunately, Loinster won't be able to join us, so I'll rope some other poor mug in to sit alongside me and talk rubbish for an hour whilst we get the game sorted. I can help you with that.
I know someone who'll be there who can talk rubbish with you, so that's fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're Blood Bowlers. We're not going to be short people who can speak rubbish. It's whether they can speak. Speaking after the Friday night is what I'm more worried about than the rubbish side of it. And then we're straight into our first game, which will be K-Food against BB. What an opener! That is unbelievable.
What a game!
And then we'll have a short break for lunch, and then in the afternoon we'll have Simon ACP from the French team. So if they win, they could be up against potentially England or Italy or some other strong team. And then we've got Andy Davo just above me, who will be representing Wales in the Saturday evening game. We have Gexter for England Sunday morning, and then 2 more games on Sunday before the closing ceremony. We'll also have some assistance from the Rebel and also Stolen XP, who will be handing over to in the evening. Thanks very much for coming along, guys. You can catch the coverage on Twitter at the Tackle Zone BB. But for now, goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for hosting this. Nice one.
Cheers, Dan.
Bye.
Bye.